Welcome to Whose Review Matters Anyway, the podcast where the show notes are made up and the reviews don't matter, just like Mike's review in our last episode.
Wait, why? What happened?
I'd say both of yours just canceled each other's out, and I win. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, if you like,
If you like shitty movies, Mike, we understand you like shitty movies.
didn't you give Artemis Fowl like a yellow card?
Oh, guys, all right. I'm starting now.
Didn't
Here
you
we go.
give,
That's
I'm
because
just
yellow card?
no, you got fucked up.
what movie again?
You were gonna give Becky a yellow card if I recall correctly.
No. I was doing it because we made Ham wait for so long, but then I realized I with these reviews you can be nice. It doesn't matter, you know.
Well, speaking of reviews in general, this hopefully short episode, not short episode, depends on what we got to talk about. Because out of I would personally say that there is at least one thing that makes this series way much more interesting than Thor: Love and Thunder. Agree? Disagree? Maybe not.
I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's see.
Okay, so
Know
we're
what
talk about
you're talking about?
we're going to talk about Miss Marvel in this episode. Fresh off the boat, because today, the day of recording, it is the last episode did air. We all did watch it. Mike most recently just watched it. Like, he finished it, what, half an hour ago at this point?
Literally 10 minutes. No. 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago.
Oh, that's why we couldn't start this shit. Oh,
That's what I was
Hammond's in a rush, but we're gonna take our sweet time.
So we'll see where the conversations go. I guess we can kind of also just do like a follow through with each episode. Miss Marvel, it's about Kamala Khan, a superhero fan with an imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel, because she is overly obsessed with Captain Marvel. Kamala feels like she doesn't fit in school and sometimes even at home. That is until she gets superpowers like the heroes she's looked up to. IMDb gives it a 6.1 out of 10.
ooh,
Ooh.
Rotten Tomatoes, 98%.
whoa, complete difference.
Completely different.
Now, Ham gets so drunk throughout the week, he completely forgets what is on what. He got messed up with his schedule. It's like he thought he was supposed to be watching Obi-Wan today. Then he remembered it finished already. So he didn't know what he was watching. He told everyone that Ewan McGregor was going to be at this screening. So unfortunately, only 68% of his people like this movie.
Oh man, I was supposed to watch Obi-Wan. I watched
Mm.
Captain Marvel.
Is
Oh
that
my
why Mike is there?
How do you know that name? Don't you say that name?
So I don't think there's anyone really recognizable from this cast, at least well, except for the guy from Damage Control,
Yeah.
because it's the guy from No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
There is a couple of things to kind of keep note here.
Other woman, she's from Orange is the New Black.
Who?
The other agent.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
I never saw the series, so I didn't know. That's why I was like,
Ooh.
anyone here that's like a actor from some other series, but I mean I don't know. I guess not anything mainstream. I guess I would say, except for what you just mentioned. But there were
I
two things
believe you.
I wanted to make note of. Just kind of going in. So Matt Lintz, who plays Bruno in this series,
White boy song.
he was actually in the running to play Spider-Man. He was up against Tom Holland to play Spider-Man in the MCU.
I was about
Really? Ooh, that's awkward.
I was gonna say I can't believe he beat out or Tobey Maguire beat him out.
And then the other notable thing, our leading role here, Kamala Khan, played by Iman Vellani, her first ever acting gig, period. Like straight out of high school. I was watching some interviews with some of the cast, and apparently she got the confirmation that she got the role on the very last day of high school. So
Really? You know what? She deserves a round of applause. Come on, guys. Let's clap.
I got a drink in my hand. Was this a concert for? Was this we talked about a while back, or was this a different show that they said Oh, she has never act or something.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
the show. Yeah, we
mentioned it a
talked about.
long time ago when it was
Long, yeah,
out.
felt
Yeah,
forever ago.
Yeah,
I
but I
think.
mean, it's pretty much like she's telling her story about how she got the role, like to everybody. Like it's through a WhatsApp, apparently. Like her grandma, I think, messaged her like this casting call through a WhatsApp message, and she thought it was really sketchy. And then she got on a phone call, or she got through the interview. She had to send like videos, like the what did they call it? Like they had to record themselves acting or putting out dialogue or something like that. And then she got the call from one of the executives or secretaries from Marvel, and then Kevin Feige on the phone call and whatever. And yeah, it became like a whole huge big deal, and just again through a WhatsApp message.
Yeah, because I remember we talking about this a long time ago, and it was just like people like talking a bunch of shit, and I totally
I
forgot.
mean, it's just because of trolls, man.
I mean, though we always hear the loudest from the trolls, so I'm just saying. I totally forgot it was this show.
But I think like you got like to kind of to some perspective, that's got to be a lot of fucking pressure too. Like your
Yes,
first
yes.
ever gig. It's not like it's a Disney show where it's like, well, it's supposed to be cheesy and campy and corny, so who cares if I fuck up? Like, no, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe we're talking about that you're going to be a part of, and so there's just like a lot of like stress along with that. Plus, she's also a diehard like MCU fan. Like she's like gotten through all these like trivia quizzes or whatever. She's been out knowledging, like outsmarting like all these other actors and actresses from the MCU. Like she's basically playing herself in the series as we see it.
Yeah,
So I just think that's like a huge deal. Like to point it out, like at 18, your first ever acting gig, it's the MCU.
yeah, it's huge.
Ham,
It's
Ham
really really huge.
that big.
Yeah, I
Ham,
agree.
Ham had like what his first shot by the time he was 8 years old. I guess that's comparative, like to the stress. No,
A
I
lot of pressure between that shot too.
I play myself all the time.
Wait, what?
this is the series to mention.
Whoa.
Okay. Let's see. We'll go around with the cards first, and I don't know how we want to go through discussion with this, but let's just do the cards. Let's get that out there. Mike, what are you gonna give Miss Marvel now that the 6 episode series is over?
Everything, everything, everything. Red card.
Okay, Ham
I was gonna give it a green.
was or you still is?
Well, I still am. I don't know why he's giving it a red, but okay.
Mhm.
I I'm gonna give it my initial reaction after the fact, after this last episode, was going to be a green. I had to think over some bits. I'm gonna settle for a yellow. I could be somewhat convinced back up to a green, but I don't agree to a red. Which is why I kind of like this has been like a very divisive topic of quote unquote MCU fans with this
Hot
series
Mhm.
topic.
as to what it's trying to do, what it's trying to set up, the way that it's shot, the acting, the style to it. And so, I'm not gonna get on Mike's case about why this is a red card for him. I can
He
maybe
says
guess.
that now.
Well, I mean, I can kind of guess a couple of things, but I think I
I
want to let him speak first and
okay.
maybe kind of make my judgments from that. Although the one pet peeve I have, which I don't care if either of you, if you mention it, I'm gonna get on your case about it. Is if you mention that, oh yeah, this part was good, but it wasn't really for me. That is like a really big gripe of mine. So I'm just gonna throw it out there right now.
Yeah, I can say that though because I gave it a green.
But Mike, go ahead and run us through what your overall thoughts are before we kind of break down certain scenes and big moments and things like that.
Yeah, sure. Um, First of all, I just wanted to just get this out of the way. How do you say your name? Vali?
Iman Belani.
Iman Vanali. For this to be her first time ever, I give her a fucking round of applause. I think she deserves to win an award or something. I think she did a phenomenal job. I think
Like,
her alone is the highlight of the show, of course. But she is she in my opinion, like for this to be her first thing ever, she carried this show for me from beginning to end. I was so interested of her character, her charisma, the way that she is, how like there's funny moments that she does, how she's like very quirky, nerdy, and I could relate to that, and I like that about her. I really, really did. Um, I think this show for me just suffers very poor writing and chemistry with all the other characters, and I didn't like anybody else in the show except for her dad. I think her dad honestly was I like the dad. I like her dad. So honestly, two characters out of I don't even know how many people were in the show because they kept on putting a lot of people in the show. Uh, Regardless, I just think this show for the first two episodes, I was kind of hooked. I was like, okay, this is something different. This is like teenage girl, and I really did like the whole directing scene, like the whole special effects and everything like that. But there's just so much you can do with that. But the show wasn't interesting. The story is not interesting. Her powers are weird. I think the whole villains are just so lazy writing, boring. I don't care. I don't know. I just didn't care. I didn't care. And the last episode, I would say the last episode, it's definitely the best episode because it does kind of like she gets her costume, and I think her costume is really fucking awesome. I really did like it a lot, and and um and I sort of did like how she was like trying to protect everybody in somewhat in certain ways. But the thing is that like what I liked about the episode pretty much was not part of the superhero thing. It was just more the Home Alone trap things with these people with her friends, like messing around with the damage control police officers and everything like that. And towards the end, it gets a little sloppy for me. I don't really care about that other kid, come out, whatever, Cameron, whatever. I don't care. I didn't like the kid. I don't like any of them. I just didn't care enough, and the show didn't do any justice to bring anything light to the show, in my opinion, except for just Kamala Khan. Like she's literally the best thing ever. And of course, I think we're gonna mention later on down, break down each episode, and then we're gonna talk about towards the end of like the little hints, and we hear that little music. Anybody caught on that?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And to me, I think the worst episode is episode 5. Episode 5 to me was the worst episode ever.
Okay, I know. All right.
It is. Listen,
No, it is.
the show started. The show started and it fucking ended, and I literally yelled, "Wait, that's it?" Like it just finished. It finished like I don't know. It just I gave Loki a red card because I don't think anything was interesting except for the last episode. Like I will say, Loki is 100 times better than this show.
Ooh.
I just think this show, the only good thing about it is just I just cared about is Kamala Khan, and I'm excited for what they're gonna do with her in the future. They hinted something with the Marvels movie that's coming out, and probably something else, maybe other projects. And I hope they do because I really did like this actress as Kamala Khan. I think it was a great casting choice. And I'm just excited what they do with her. This show itself, you could just throw in the garbage for me. I'm good.
Before Ham goes, two things.
Yeah.
One, I like. I almost like. Almost hesitate to say that I share a lot of the same sentiment as Mike, but I'm not as harsh about it, and
Hmm.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, I'll address it if it doesn't get addressed by Ham. Um, so like it's interesting how we actually have kind of some similar dislikes about this show. It's just I think maybe the different way we're seeing it. But my second thing is, I guess it's a question. Would you say that you dropped off episode 2 by the end of episode 2 or episode 3?
Episode 3.
Episode 3. Okay. Okay. Ham, go ahead. What are your takes?
All right. Well,
Spoilers, by the way, people. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Full spoilers.
okay, so I feel like Mike expected this to be a superhero movie. While it tries to be, it really isn't, and I don't fault it for that. It's a coming of age story. It's her finding herself between two different worlds, and I think they did that very well. And also, it's about family and roots and all that. I mean, superhero story aside, I think they did that very well, especially in the fifth episode. If that's the one I'm thinking of. But if you want to say it's a light superhero movie, which, of course, that doesn't always have to be the main focus. Like there could be character development. It's not all about action and pew 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 pew. Um,
What
I
about
don't know. The pop. What about I will agree
uh-huh.
with you on there, Ham. Like it's not about action. I 100% agree with that. Okay, but the thing is that if you have a very weak story, everything just falls apart.
But also, I
Where
think
in the end you rely on the pew 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 pop.
yeah, no, but I also don't think we're the target audience as well. I feel like we might be little over the age of what people who are watching this or should be watching this
I
are.
mean, it's Marvel.
Eh, but yes, there's also Marvel cartoons that I don't watch with the big heads and shit. But I'm sure Andrew's seen some of those episodes. I'm sure he even knows what it's called.
Are we talking about Spidey and his amazing friends?
Yeah, that one. That one.
Yeah, those are good shows.
Those are the best ones. They have a
um.
good story.
So for the first episode, I was wanting more. I thought it was. I was like, and I think it got better throughout the series a little bit. Also, yeah, it was the fifth one had some time travel. Is that what it was?
That's the one where she.
Jack? Yeah.
Well, it started off with the backstory, the whole cultural story behind everything, and then
Yeah.
and her being revealed as she was the one that helped her grandmother.
Yeah.
And
this series is a unique thing where, like Mike sort of referenced that her costume, she got different aspects from her costume from different people, which I thought was pretty cool. Like a video game sort of, where she picks up the red sash from that one dude, she picks up that visor from some other person, or whatever mask, whatever you call that. Picks up the S when she breaks something. So yeah, I like all that. And two of the things I did not like that stand or pop in my head are the mom and father. Oh, also the father, the name too as well. So there's that. But
I actually like that.
yeah, there you go. But they all sort of at first they're like,
Pretty
"Hey, we don't trust you, don't do shit," and then really quick, almost a 180, they're the opposite at the end. I don't see that development being fully developed, but
Everybody's all towards the action where everyone's shooting guns and all this stuff, and they're all just still hanging around. I thought that was pretty funny.
and then the other thing was that other character, the first one, she's in the first episode, then a little in the second, right at the end, she's like, "Oh, I hope you guys." I'm like, "Where the fuck did you come from?"
they addressed that. They're like, "How'd you get here?"
No, but even then, I'm like, "Yeah, that whatever."
Oh, I forgot.
So I don't know. I found that yeah, it didn't make sense, especially with the brother shows up and
Yeah,
then
the
like, the
justification for
shows
that.
up, and it's very convenient. But it was just like funny because they addressed it like as a comedy thing. It's like, oh, well, how did you get what? Why are you here? Like,
I still don't believe that justification, but okay.
I like the TikTok videos.
Oh,
They're funny.
I bet you do. other than that, I can't see anything wrong with it. I think Mike just hates it because it has Marvel in it. So
Oh my god, this guy.
Shazam.
yeah,
You know what? She did.
but maybe I'll interrupt Sal so I can
Yeah,
correct more than Mike.
please do, because I feel like I'm already all over the place with my thoughts on what I want to address and how I want to address it. So away whenever you want to question away. Um, I I'm just gonna address the first thing that really does come to mind that I appreciated, but then it kind of led to a downfall of parts of this, and kind of connecting to what Mike is probably getting at, or maybe wants to get at. But this was very much like, here is our culture, right? Here is what Pakistan culture is like, Muslim culture is like. This is what we do. This is our food. This is how we dress. This is what our city looks like. This is like, it was really, I think, beautifully integrated in the first couple episodes. And then when we get to the third episode, it was very much, because that's when they traveled over there. Is that right? Like, does it end it with them being?
No, it ends with them like his grandmother like, oh, you need to come down. You need to come down here.
So the fourth one,
So it's like the fourth episode is where they're
yeah,
already
fourth one.
there.
And the third one was like the focus on
The wedding.
yeah, the wedding. Okay. Yeah, and then we get that Bollywood dance scene. So like, I felt like the culture, because that is a very big deal, and I said this before,
Yeah.
like, the whole reason behind why Kamala Khan is such a huge hit in the comics is because she's like the first, Pakistan superhero, like the first Muslim superhero, and it has like a very much like Spider-Man story, like, I think it was him that said, a coming of age story where
Yeah.
she's struggling to balance her personal life and her quote unquote superhero life and all these different things. Like, she wants to please everybody and she doesn't know what to do. And she comes into her own being by the end of the series. And I think this series does that extremely well. But what I kind of saw as a problem, and not just be and just to be clear, it's not like, oh my gosh, why are they showing us so much of this culture? Why are we showing us the history of that? It's just that it was very wrong, like very odd timing. It wasn't structured, I think, well, because what we got in episode 5, I felt like if you took that first half, or maybe all the way up to the point where we finally run back to Kamala Khan, because she doesn't show up in the episode until like towards the end.
Yeah,
If you took that first bit and maybe started the series, or maybe did the start of the second episode that way, and we kind of were like following up to that point, then I feel like that whole, like, the episodes 4 and 5 wouldn't have felt so choppy and so awkward placed the way that it
Hmm.
was. Because I think that's what, for me, kind of hurt it. And again, it's not that, oh my gosh, why did we get this like backstory? Why did we get this history lesson with that? It's just
so
like, I'm 5 episodes in, and you have a lot of shit to tie up, and you're just now throwing this in.
all
Well,
right, all
I
right.
felt like it could have been done earlier in the series,
I
and then, like, we retrace our
Mhm.
steps a little bit and then get to that point, and it's like, okay, this would have flown a little bit better.
It so-
Exactly, yeah.
it sounds like you guys are talking about the second season of Stranger Things syndrome, where
I watched it, so I can't say.
you haven't seen the second.
I haven't seen the second episode.
Oh.
All right, Mike, do you know what I'm talking about with that episode where they're not, Eleven's not with everyone, she's with the random people?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It felt exactly like that. Everybody hated that episode. It was like one of the second to last ones.
Yeah, it was a filler episode, and also too, it didn't explain anything why they hate this woman.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't say it's a filler because I mean, if you're comparing it, I'm comparing it to it, but it is the history of that. So maybe if it was
It's
movie, it should have been the first part, I guess. But
there. I mean, you can say it's the history of what happened in the real world, but I'm talking about like what led up to it, where the whole entire time they kept on mentioning her great grandmother, how
yeah,
they hated her, how she like abandoned the family and everything like that, and they were doing like little like hints of like what she did, and when you finally find out what she did, it's like, wait, What?
Well, I mean, it's just
It was
misinterpreting history or not knowing or what actually happened.
I
but
fault it to the placement of the episode though, because I feel like it would have been a little bit
exactly. I agree with Sal.
at the beginning because I don't but I think Mike, I think your reaction is not the one I'm trying to come off here. It's just, you know, we noticed the 6 episodes. We're getting to the end. We know you have to go back to the city and fix shit up with your friends because you fucked things over there. Then you also fucked up the wedding. Your superhero suit. There's so much. There's like a checklist of things that still needs to happen, and it's like, how are you gonna do it in 2 episodes? Then when we get episode 5, and 3/4 of the episode is a history lesson, which again, it's not against the history lesson itself. It's just that why did you give me this now when I felt like I could have benefited from this earlier, and this whole thing would have flowed so much better? And it's just I don't know. It's kind of like like what's the phrase where it's a sore thumb stick out of stick of whatever the phrase is,
A sore thumb sticking out.
something
Like
like
that.
that. Yeah,
Uh,
and it's like I feel like that also hurt people's reception on that episode. Where I feel like it's decent, it was solid, and I kind of liked it, but I just didn't like it at that time because I wanted to make sure that they were able to wrap everything up. And if you look at the 6th episode, the final episode we just watched, everything was way too convenient. It was way too rushed. And it's like, okay, so we're not going to really delve into, this whole like friendship with you and Bruno. Like, was there nothing then between you two? You're
say
going for
convenient, but whatever we watched recently was more convenient than this. I forget what it was, but
Obi-Wan.
yes, I think.
but I don't know. Like, it sucks because a lot of people are giving this some negative, like not negative reviews, but just negative comments because of that, and people are taking it as like, like um a prejudice thing, like, oh, you're against Muslims or whatever. It's like, no, I don't think that's what people are trying to convey. I
No.
think they're just not wording it properly, and I don't think people are understanding, like,
Hmm.
again, the expectation. And I know Ham brought up like, oh well, are you always expecting like a superhero style movie? And I don't think it has anything really of that expectation. But we know what MCU is capable of. We like look at Winter Soldier, beautifully done movie. You got things like Civil War, the first Iron Man movie. I'll even throw it out there. No Way Home, I thought was well done. Um,
Yeah, but these are all
MCU
movies.
MCU has a particular bar, a standard that they had set, and we're not used to seeing like lesser quality. And I think that's just hurting the overall image of these series.
Well, also as not a, I don't want to say this in a negative way, but also I'm sure that they were very aware of not a well-known name and not a big Captain America, as you said, or a Spider-Man esque person. So I'm sure they were hedging their bets as well.
I I believe that when you make a show like Wanda, Loki, um, especially like Moon Knight. Moon Knight was the before Miss Marvel came out. Moon Knight was the latest Marvel show that came out, and not a lot of people knew it
Yeah, but
whatsoever.
how
But
many people knew about Oscar Isaac?
I mean, of course, Oscar Isaac, but we're not talking about the actor. We're talking about just the story and the show itself, where that show had actually really good character development with every other character in that show. And of course, there were some pacing issues and everything like that.
You mean
But
him, himself, and I?
yeah, him himself and I, yeah, you know. But the thing is that the show played its strength, and I feel like, in my opinion, this show, Miss Marvel, didn't do that with. I don't know. To me, it was just some lazy writing of like, and Sal said he's gonna get on some people's cases if he said like, "Oh, this show is not for me. It's not." This show, honestly, like it did remind me of like a regular Disney show that you can see on TV back in the day. But at the same time, like I feel like you could use that as a strength and make it fun and bring everybody along with it. But the show didn't know what it wanted to do, in my opinion. It wanted to be a superhero show, but yet it wanted to talk about culture. And I was fine with that. I love about that. I want more of that. But you have to be more organized, and you have to establish of like, okay, you want Kamala Khan to be a superhero, and you want her to stand out and be the voice of her people, but I felt nothing like that.
But
Uh,
can,
I
can
would.
you agree that this show compared to Moon Knight, two different, completely different demographics?
Yes, two different demographics, but when you compare them to other shows, they're way completely different as well.
I mean, at first glance, right, just like going back and thinking back on Moon Knight, I feel as though, and I'll agree with Mike here, that the story was way more like was just better structured than here in Miss Marvel. So, like, if you look at the first two episodes, and Mike brought this up, or and Ham actually this up, and Ham kind of hit it right where it needed to go. The visual style of the first two episodes was awesome. I love
Yeah,
how you like got to see her text messages through like the background setting, and just like the way that she was like writing in her book, and like her thoughts were like acted out in that way, and it was so it was so creative, and I
it
got
was fun.
cases about like yeah, like, oh, because I kept hearing a lot of reviews or Twitter posts like, oh yeah, that was great, but I didn't like it because I just didn't think it was for me. And I'm like, well, shut up. Like you obviously enjoyed it. Just don't fault it for being like too Disney Channel-y, if you want to put it that way. Because I
But
think
that's
this is
what I
way
feel like
better.
it was,
This
though,
is
and I
way better than a Disney Channel series. Like the comedy and I
it was
think there's
heartfelt. How about that? Heartfelt.
sure, but again, the first two episodes, awesome episodes, and I was like, man, if this is what we're gonna get into, like, I'm so on board for the rest of the series. And when we were watching Top Gun Maverick, this was my running for my gold card because I love those first two episodes so much. Like, they were really good episodes. But then like the third episode was like, put on the brakes and stop. Let's talk about culture and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can do this for an episode, but can we like go back to the way that you started off the series? Because if you notice, the third, fourth, and fifth episode, that whole thing is gone. Like
Yeah,
the whole style, the visualization of the series was gone, and it was just like a standard like, oh, here's a typical like, I nothing against Falcon and Winter Soldier because I love that series. That was my gold card last year, but it was just like a standard routine episode,
It's
and I
like
was
the
like, what?
gotcha,
It was like, what happened here? And I'm gonna agree with
the bait
Mike.
and
The
switch.
villains, the villains felt very lazy writing. They didn't even really feel like villains, and they're
yeah.
kind of forgettable. Like I don't like I don't know if there's really a villain where I'm like, I don't want them to come back, except for this group. Like
Hey guys,
that.
they're not villains. They're just people, just like us.
And but the thing is that this lady was killing fucking everybody, and it's just like, wouldn't you want to like not kill them so you could find your bracelet? And like, wasn't there two bracelets? I know we talked about this before
I think there
recording.
was because they said, "Oh, I haven't seen that one before," or "Oh, that's not the one," or something. They said in the what third episode.
Yeah, and how did exactly this guy got his powers from the mom?
Yeah, that
Um,
was the
she
one thing that
somehow
threw me.
she somehow gave it to them. She's like, "Peace, here, take this, because I'm a genie. So if I die, you
But
get to be a genie, and then you're cursed or some dumb bullshit. I don't know.
but but part of the problem is like again lazy writing on these villains or protagonists. What's the right word for this one? Antagonists.
Antagonist.
And sure.
Antagonists, people who
Um,
are bored.
like they call them the Jinn, right? And it's like this whole cultural thing, and then I like they even try to explain what the Jinn are, and I was like, okay, that's cool, but they don't dive into that where it's like, okay, tell us more about this, so maybe we can actually get a better understanding of what their true motives or what their like culture and their lifestyle is, and it's just like, nope, we're just gonna mention this is what they are, and then you're just gonna see them as bad people, and it's like, what, really?
You know what bothered me is that when Bruno was doing the research at the place that he was working at, the I forget what's it called, the
Sure.
yeah, the video, yeah, that store. And Camilla's dad came in and he's like, "Oh, don't say anything. I'm getting a candy or whatever, and this and that." And then he like looks at the book and talks to Bruno about the Jinn, like he knew everything about it, and he looked very suspect, very sus. And I was like, maybe he's part of it. But no, nothing. Like it was just a story, and he looked very intimidating, somewhat, and nowhere.
Well, I can. Well, I don't. Yeah, that was. Well, because there's really a real life interpretation of jinns and history of jinns and like just like Greek mythology and all that. But on Sal's going back to Sal, I think I can argue that at the beginning of the show, she was all imagination and whatever. And then she was growing where she didn't need that anymore because she was becoming the superhero and was not all in her head. Now it was real life. So she lost a little bit of that, let's say, imagination or creativity because it became real life. So no time for dreaming in the clouds because you're here right and now. So do it.
Damn. You
Sure.
know what? What? No, no, no. When he was talking about that, I was getting ready to find a counter argument because I was like, well, what about the last episode? And then I'm like, well, no, she did come into her own on the last episode. And you did get kind of that, again, imaginative when she was going through the whole heist, or I'm going to call it a heist because it's set up like a whole thing like a heist, where she was, like sketch drawing or chalk drawing or whatever. And it was like, going to the real characters and was going in and out of settings. And I'm like, damn, that actually does make sense. But it's
Yeah,
just,
because the first time she does it, nothing goes right. Or this time, everything goes right, correct?
yeah, I would want then for me personally to be a little bit more obvious because I think it was way too subtle to the point where no one's picking up on that. Right? If
Mm.
that was the case, nobody's picking up on that. And then
It's
in
it's
some
loose.
cases,
It's loose. I just thought about it, but
in some
yeah.
and in some cases, like for Mike and almost me, like I would never have even thought of that because it's just it goes so over your head where again it just feels like it just pumps on the brakes at episode 3 and it just feels awkward. And
Well, that's
so
why wondering why it would feel that way, and I was thinking maybe there's a reason because that it would make no
Mhm.
sense to start off that way and then not
I
keep
have a
going.
nitpick.
sure.
I have a nitpick. It's towards the end when she's
That
sitting
pick,
on
you didn't
the.
have any.
Is when she's sitting on the roof with her dad, right? And her dad is telling her how, like, her name is like Kamala, perfect, or Marvel and everything like that. In the middle of the night, she decides to run mid-air in a neighborhood full, like, dark. You're not gonna tell me like you don't think that's kind of careless? Like everybody's gonna try to know, like now know where you live. You know
I
what I
mean,
mean? Like,
in
That you could say that about Spider-Man. Like,
that
oh, he's
I'm
swinging.
about to say, like in Kamala's defense, Peter Parker always goes out his apartment window and dresses up as
Yeah,
Spider-Man, and it's like you're gonna tell me no one's ever like gone
but
up or New York City, everyone's I spying on people like everywhere. So
yeah.
no, but
Everyone's too busy watching the Hulk destroy downtown or fucking I don't know,
no,
Doctor
no, 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 no,
Strange
no.
fighting a
But
one-eyed monster. So I don't
my
know.
counter, my counter argument with that is that like Spider-Man, sure, he could come out and they should have been like somebody needs to like know that this guy's coming out of an apartment, right? But the thing is that like he's not glowing. It's not lights. Where Kamala Khan, like she's summoning this huge little like this huge platform for her to run on, and you can't miss that.
Hey man, I was drunk, man. I thought I was hallucinating something. All right.
Vaughn,
Oh
Vaughn,
my god.
he's that like I'm yeah. There's no defending that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's like damn.
Okay.
It's like
Bullshit.
damn ham. This weed is fucking good, bro.
Right? Exactly. That could have been a
so,
thing like in the episode, and it's like,
so
oh, okay.
so going back, I really do love episodes 1 and 2. I think out of all 6,
I
those two
agree.
favorite episodes.
Mhm.
100% well done. 3, 4, and 5, it kind of gradually loses me, and I think they're just weak because of a lack of structure. on what it wanted to tell, like, and how it wanted to tell it. I think it could have been done better. Again, kind of rearranging the sequences maybe. And then episode 6, it picks up. It's a little too convenient, but I look past it because I do love I this is another part I disagree with Mike on. I think the chemistry between a lot of the characters were great, with the brother, with the best friend, both best friends. Zoe, though, the TikTok girl, I think could have been done a little bit better and maybe sprinkled more throughout. But
I like her TikToks.
I think everyone was cool. The guy from Damage Control, again, I will never remember his name. He was more serious in this movie, in this episode
Spider-Man
series than he was in
Oh,
No
for
Way.
sure.
And it's like, are you going to be like a bigger deal later on? Is that why you're giving this your all? Because that line where you pretty much fired the girl, like the lady, I was like, that's some strong acting you got there for a series. Like, you're trying to prove to Kevin Feige about something. So I'm hoping we get him in more series or movies or something going forward and leading to something bigger, because it almost made it want to make sure that we didn't forget about Damage Control and that they're going to play a much bigger role later on. I'm hoping they follow through with that. Despite though the awkwardness of 3, 4, and 5, I think I'm still gonna settle for a yellow. I
respect the yellow. I don't respect the red.
I can't justify a red. I think that, to me personally, I think that would just be way too harsh on it. Green, I would just say, if I want to completely forget about episodes 3, 4, and 5, sure, maybe it's a green, but as a whole, it does suffer from that lack of structure in the writing or how it wants to present itself. All right, so let's just go ahead now and talk about the two one bigger than the other thing.
Gotcha.
Do we want to talk about the little catchy jingle, or do we want to talk about the credit scene first?
I know Mike doesn't want to talk about the last thing, so
which is why I think we should talk about that first, because it'll be super quick.
Okay, let's talk about that first.
Mid-credit scene, post-credit, whichever you want to categorize it. Miss Marvel is somehow swapped places with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel comes in, crashes into her closet. The fuck is going on? And then just runs off to only God knows what. But then
I didn't see it that way.
It just says at the end, Kamala will return in the Marvels or something like that.
Wait, I don't remember Captain Marvel. I think we're gonna have to rewatch that.
What are you talking? Yeah. Have Mike just rewatch the entire thing all over again, and the first movie, just to make sure he's caught up.
Yeah.
I thought that she cloned herself.
That's what it sort of seemed like at first. Yes, I mean without any explanation.
Wait, I'm very confused. What?
So morphed into her.
Like she I don't know, I feel like she
really?
Yeah, like she cloned herself. Like she saw a picture of because that's what it seemed like. Like it was just like she was laying down and she was watching a picture, and then out of nowhere, like she just
it doesn't.
Of course, Mike can see that,
and some of basic viewers would think the same as well. I think.
Wait, well, hold on. I'm very confused. So you're thinking Kamala became Captain Marvel, or Kamala made a clone of Captain Marvel?
Like
mutated. Like she was like the blue bitch, and then the blue bitch like copied herself.
Damn, this guy's using my terminology today, like Mystique.
But that doesn't make sense. Oh wait, actually, that might. Hold on. Okay, no. To me, initially, it doesn't make sense because she looks at all these pictures as in like, where the fuck am I? Where I have all these pictures of me, like that. Like there was no mirror for her to look at, because then I would completely agree with you. Like, oh yeah, she probably morphed or transformed into Captain Marvel, but there was no mirror. So it's like I just think
but she looked down on her hands. But she looked down on her hands. She's like, oh no.
Yeah, because who knows what the fuck is happening with Captain Marvel? We don't know where she is or what she's doing.
And she changed her hair. Didn't she get a haircut in Endgame?
Yeah, but you don't even know what period are we in? Where are we? I don't know where Kamala lives. I don't know what year it is. Shit, somebody tell me.
This is after Endgame.
This is after Endgame, and she's living during the time since this guy, the detective, since he's there and we know him from Spider-Man, Spider-Man is in New York City.
Yeah, but could this be before or after Spider-Man? Can somebody
Is
tell?
after, more likely.
Well, but is there definitive proof that it is or isn't?
I mean,
No,
Marvel has
but
never
still,
done that except for
regardless,
Black
it's still
Widow.
after Endgame, right? In Endgame, she did have the mohawk style haircut, but
Yes.
she doesn't have it anymore. But I still don't think. Okay, the other thing where I would kind of maybe start, like, I would not start to believe you, but be like, you know what, yours isn't completely unreasonable. Is that she was super skinny in that scene? Like, do you not see like how thin she was compared to like how she is in Captain Marvel and
I
Endgame?
mean, Brie
What
Larson has been working out a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, to explain that transition in a movie, like, they're very specific
No
about your
one's gonna
body types,
explain
and
that. No one's gonna explain that.
I don't know. I feel like that's got to be something, because she like looked almost Jane Foster thin, like it was very noticeable.
I don't know. Son of a bitch did it. I don't fucking know. Like she. I don't know. Like I thought that she like cloned herself, and that's why I thought like, wait, isn't like Camila Khan? She's able to like like this disguise herself, looking like other
Well,
people.
either way, I could see Mike's point for a second, but no, it is not that. But I could see people thinking that
We'll
for a
have to wait until the Marvel comes out to really figure out what the hell's going on. But
And
okay.
then apparently Nova is supposed to be part of the Marvels as well too. No,
That's what I heard. I mean,
Oh,
they
really?
yeah,
Richard Ryder? I think that's his name. Well,
I
there's
think
two
so.
of them.
no, it's Reed Richards. Get it right.
Yes, Mr. Fantastic is Nova. Okay, well, so that was the post-credit scene, obviously, because that's the next time we are going to see Kamala Khan is in that series.
Yes.
Really quick segue though, just before we talk about that last thing, the entire series, I really wanted a Kamala Khan Spider-Man team up, because I feel like those two would, like, their
I
dialogue.
was just thinking about that.
Of course you would.
No, but he's right though, because both of them, the way that like now Peter Parker, he's
No,
independent. He started on his own, and Kamala Khan is starting on her own. She's independent, and can you imagine both of them in the same movie or them teaming
Would
up?
be like a good mentor for her.
Yeah,
I thought
and we could see his new suit.
like the mentor shit, like with Spider-Man and Tony Stark and Doctor Strange and Kevin Parker.
But anyway, let's go on to the last scene that is a huge deal that everyone's not shutting up about. We get like a 1 week later scene. You know, Bruno's off to Caltech, I think, with also the other friend. And they meet up with Kamala again just to talk about, catch up on some things. They're driving off. He stole Kamran's car, whatever. Not a big deal.
Oh, he gave it to him.
Sure.
He stole
But
that shit.
Bruno, still a great friend to Kamala, was like, hey, I went back and
Oh yeah, friend.
some of your history, and because Kamala also was your brother's also asking, like, does he have powers? And it turns out that it's not, your powers aren't coming necessarily, like, how to wield these powers and where it comes from and the origin behind it, but it doesn't explain what I found in you, and it seems like there's a mutation in, right, the word mutation. Like, oh, that's cool, they're using mutation, but they played the animated X-Men theme song jingle to it, and it's even in the credits as well. And it's like, holy shit, like, did they just introduce a mutant, or are they introducing us to a storyline that would involve mutants? Because I'm not wholly convinced that Miss Marvel is a mutant. I'm not convinced that that's the route they're gonna take. Obviously, they're at free liberty to do whatever the hell they want, because in the comics, she's originally an Inhuman. I just think that this is a cool hint to get us to converse about mutants in general, like X-Men coming in, but also a possibility of bringing the Inhumans back into the MCU.
Well, no, in the comics, well, I saw somewhere that the reason why they started using Inhumans is because they couldn't use mutant anymore, even in the comics. So,
but a way for them to like get a fresh start with Inhumans, because that whole project failed, and it was shit, whatever. I never watched it, but
I never.
oh yeah, no, I watched that first episode. I'm like, nope, thank you.
I think, like, it just seems really weird for me that it's just like, why would you completely rechange like an origin section, a factor of this superhero? Like,
So
why
they
would,
can introduce the mutants. That's why.
what? But that's why I'm saying I'm not convinced that she is a mutant. I'm convinced
Um,
he is going to get us to look towards like the X-Men, and also bringing in human,
but
because
also you saw in Doctor Strange.
well,
Sorry.
the difference between the two is that like the Inhumans, I think, have the mutation of the gene in them, but it's dormant and it has to be triggered by something. In her case, it's triggered by the bangle, the bracelet or whatever that she has.
Because
Whereas
of
the mutant is born with it and it's active with you.
Maybelline.
So I just think like they're gonna mistake her for a mutant, but then we'll get an actual realization of like, oh no, you're something else, and you become an Inhuman.
Yeah, but you could say that they introduced mutants in Doctor Strange somehow.
They kind of did with
Xavier.
Xavier. Yeah,
The Prince
Well,
of
well,
Mutants.
no,
the
but they
King-
also had Black Bolt there too.
yeah, but guess
Yeah.
what? He died like a bitch. So
So did Xavier.
no, he was one of the
Nice.
last few to die. All right.
Yeah.
He could have transferred his consciousness to somewhere else. All right.
I have a now that we're talking about that, I kind of have like not an idea of maybe what's going to be the new Marvel story, because I think I think everyone is in the loop of like, what was Phase 4 about? Was it
Phase
just
4
more?
should be introducing mutants. The end.
And no, that's what I'm getting at, is that was Phase 4 was like an introduction of like probably new characters and just like more storyline with some of the old characters like Doctor Strange, Thor, a little backstory of Black Widow, but of course got a new character of Shang-Chi, who else, Moon Knight, and now like Ms. Marvel. Do you think the next phase is going to be focused on the X-Men and maybe a reboot of the Inhumans, because Blade is coming soon,
Yeah, I feel like it's an introduction with
and Fantastic Four as
the-
well?
with the multiverse and all that, because there is so many possibility someone fucked it up where mutants could just come in and be like, hey, we're here. It's like, wait, what do you mean you're here? Oh, because somebody fucked up the multiverse. Oh, that makes sense. Also, I mean, you can see that they're doing whatever the Sunset Demon Slayer
Midnight
bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're doing Secret Wars. They're doing maybe even Secret Invasion. Man, they're just doing a bunch of shit. And
Is Secret Wars like a Disney Plus show, or is
Oh,
it a movie?
No, the Secret Invasion is going to be a Disney Plus series. That's the one with Nick Fury.
yeah,
Secret Wars is what everyone is hoping that this whole thing
Yeah.
is come to an end to.
and also we have the Young Avengers as well, almost set up.
Yeah, I mean, I think Phase 4 is just an introduction to here is your brand new cast moving forward. And
I mean,
again, we talked about this in our last episode. There was no end goal. There's no Avengers like movie to kind of bring everything together. I had a thought, and like again, regardless of whatever happens out of this, we're getting X-Men. We're getting mutants. That's a confirmation. I feel like if that's not a confirmation, then fuck everything I've watched in the last 20 something years of my life. But
Henry Cavill
even
as
Spider-Man?
Wolverine.
like part of what Mike is saying, I feel like this, or maybe what I'm trying to say is that I think this is a way for them to reboot or remake Inhumans, and then to also
Mhm.
bring in mutants and have like that whole thing going on, because there are comic storylines where they are against each other. I was thinking, would they do an apocalypse story? Because everything is so rich cultural thing, whether it's Egyptian, Muslim,
Yeah,
Chinese,
they did Moon Knight.
like there's so much like history happening here, and Apocalypse is the only character that I can think off the top of my head that has lived throughout history throughout all these years. And I think it'd be cool if they bring up Apocalypse at one point or another. I don't know.
I think
Yeah, I'm not too
Apocalypse was
sure.
too soon. And are they going to use the same character that they used for Apocalypse?
Oh, hell,
Oh my god, that'll be awkward.
wasn't that Rami Malek?
No, that was
Oscar Isaac.
Oh, Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
That's why it's funny, motherfucker.
I knew it was somebody. Like, I don't know.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Oscar Isaac versus Oscar Isaac again.
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
all right,
I
all
don't know,
right.
maybe because you remember we do have Kane the Conqueror in the multiverse, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
multiverse.
I mean, in Loki. But I don't know now if that's just a Loki villain himself, where he's not going to be introduced to the whole entire Marvel verse, or is it going to be another villain like
Yeah.
Galactus, or because you remember we have Internals as well. So what are they going to do with them? Is that supposed to be the replacement for the Inhumans?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I don't know.
Right.
So two things that this does for me. Number one, it's just awesome that they're like bringing in X-Men in general. I think it just gets everyone excited that we are getting brand new Marvel characters. And number two, it just actually personally makes me excited, looking forward to what's coming next in Marvel, because it now feels like it's like this is the start of like, okay, the momentum is gonna happen here soon, and shit's gonna be like hitting the fan, and we're just gonna be moving fast forward. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Just because that is a big deal to kind of finally bring 20th Century Fox Studios characters into the whole mix. And then there's a lot of rumors about who's being casted for Wolverine and who's being casted for Mr. Fantastic, and just I would love to see an Avengers versus X-Men film. I think that would be really cool.
Yes, I love that storyline. I thought that was great.
Actually, did you not hear the breaking news? They did announce who the new Wolverine's going to be.
Is it you?
Ooh.
No, it's Mike. Dun, 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 dun. X-Men.
Dun, dun,
Okay.
dun. I mean, I am short, and he is short in the comics, so
Yes.
So let's
That's
go ahead and
a
wrap
naked
this up. We did another traffic light situation. You got green, yellow, and red card, and probably two that recommend it. One that says just watch a YouTube video on it. That would be Mike.
yep, that would be me.
I think there are bigger highlights, better moments than, or more good moments than like disappointing moments in the series.
Also, one last quick question. So it's a yes or a no, or one answer or another answer. Should this have more or less episodes? Go.
Neither. Again, I fault it's just a lack of restructuring of the sequence that happened.
We should have done your favorite thing and done flashbacks.
Honestly, I think you could put episode 4 and 5 together, and it could have been 5 episodes, maybe.
So he says less.
Interesting. I like that.
Yes.
Something maybe longer and like a 1 through. Yeah, just like WandaVision did, sort of with their first and second episode.
Because honestly, I have a big issue. I'm nobody has brought this up, or maybe not that I know of, is that the episodes are shorter than what they actually are, because you have the credits that are
motherfucker. I said the credits the first WandaVision, where I'm like the credits are almost longer than the show. And that's all of them. That's all the episodes.
The first couple of things that came up on Disney Plus. Yeah.
So like, because when I see when I see this episode is 45 minutes, I'm like, okay, take away, and it's like, so it's only 35 minutes. like that's the truth.
Yeah, I mentioned that since WandaVision. Since I first saw it, I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh wait, like the fucking credits are as long as
was like 5 years ago.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Mike, do that thing you're supposed to remember to do.
Yeah, guys, hey, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram on WRMAcast. Write us an email, and Ham could tell you all about all the great drinking games and how the credit scenes are just
you don't even know.
Too damn long. drunkcop.ateacher@gmail.com. We have to probably change that email, but hey, fuck it, it's the original.
That's what I said.
Next week, I think we got Resident Evil to talk about.
No, we do not.
Yes, we do.
You heard it here.
All right. You guys remember that Spider-Man episode? Oh, you won't after this one.
All right. Any closing words, gentlemen?
Ka-chow.
What?
Ka-chow. Like
Ka-la-la-la. Kalala, she can do whatever Kalala does. Kalala, Kalala. Look out, it's Kalala Khan.